We are watching one of the most rapid pressure drops ever recorded for a late February system on the eastern seaboard. 24 millibars in 24 hours. That is the textbook definition of a bomb cyclone. That is not me being dramatic. That is the official meteorological threshold, and we just blew past it. And here is what nobody is talking about yet. This is not the worst part of what is coming. The worst part arrives in roughly 36 hours, and if you are anywhere from the Carolinas to Maine, you need to stay with me through this entire forecast because I am going to tell you exactly when to be inside, exactly when the roads will become undrivable, and exactly which cities are facing the highest risk of multi-day power outages. Stay with me. My name is going to mean nothing to you if you leave this video in the next 4 minutes, but if you stay, I am going to walk you through every single phase of this storm. I am going to call out over 30 cities by name, and I am going to tell you which danger tier you fall into. Tier 1 is where people lose power for days. Tier 2 is where infrastructure starts to crack. Tier 3 is where cities that never deal with this kind of weather are completely blindsided. You are going to want to know which tier you are in. I will get there. But first, let me show you what is already happening right now. Phase 1 is already in motion as of this morning, February 22nd, 2026. The surface low that has been tracking up the Gulf Coast has deepened explosively overnight. We went from a modest 998 millibar low sitting off the coast of Georgia to a 974 millibar beast that is now positioned roughly 200 miles southeast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. That is the bomb cyclone event itself. That deepening happened faster than most of our models captured even 48 hours ago. The GFS, the American model, was hinting at this. The European model, which I trust more for track and intensity at the longer ranges, was slightly more aggressive with the deepening. And overnight, the HRRR, that is, the High Resolution Rapid Refresh Model, our best short-range tool, the one that updates every hour and runs at a 3-kilometer grid spacing, the HRRR came in and absolutely confirmed the worst-case scenario for the immediate coast. Right now, if you are in eastern North Carolina, the Outer Banks, coastal Virginia, or the Delmarva Peninsula, you are already seeing the front edge of what is going to be a historic wind event. Gusts along the Outer Banks have already been clocked between 55 and 65 miles per hour. Those are not winter storm gusts. Those are borderline tropical force gusts in the middle of February, associated with a bomb cyclone that is still deepening. Seas offshore are running 20 to 28 feet. This is not a storm you go outside in. This is a storm you shelter in place for. Let me give you the timing on Phase 1 so you understand exactly where we are in this event right now. From now through approximately 6 p.m. tonight, Eastern Time, the heaviest precipitation band is sitting across the Rear 95 corridor from Raleigh northward through Richmond and into Washington, D.C. There is a critically important rain-snow line that has been shifting back and forth all morning, and I want to be clear with you. That line matters more than almost anything else in this forecast for the Mid-Atlantic. On the warm side of that line, you are getting heavy rain and gusty winds, which is still dangerous for travel and flooding. On the cold side of that line, you are getting heavy wet snow that is accumulating fast. And the line is close enough to major population centers that small shifts in either direction will change the totals dramatically. As of this morning, here is where I see the rain-snow line, roughly along a corridor from Roanoke, Virginia, to Fredericksburg, to Annapolis, Maryland. North and west of that line, you are in the snow. South and east, you are in the rain. But I am going to tell you right now, that line is going to shift. It almost always does with nor'easters. The question is which direction, and the models are still not perfectly in agreement on this. I'll come back to this when we get to the model discussion. Cities that are already seeing snow accumulation as of this morning include Lynchburg, Virginia, where we have had reports of 4 to 6 inches already on the ground, with snowfall rates at times exceeding 2 inches per hour. Charlottesville, Virginia is seeing similar conditions. Blacksburg is buried. Roanoke is dealing with a wicked mix of sleet and heavy snow that is creating an absolutely treacherous coating of ice underneath the snow. And that is the worst combination you can deal with on roads. The ice makes removal almost impossible. You plow and you hit ice. Roads become skating rinks. Let me now move north because the situation gets more serious as we track up the coast. Washington, D.C. Right now, the National Weather Service has a winter storm warning in effect for the district, Montgomery County, Fairfax County, Arlington, and Alexandria. The expected totals for D.C. proper are running 8 to 14 inches of snow before this is over. I want you to sit with that number for a second. D.C. does not handle snow well. The infrastructure is not built for it. The road network was not designed for heavy snow management at the scale that Chicago or Buffalo operates. 8 to 14 inches in Washington, D.C. is a paralyzing event, and that is the current forecast cone. There is a scenario, and I want to be responsible here. I am not trying to scare you beyond what the data shows. There is a legitimate model scenario where the storm tracks slightly further west, keeps D.C. in the heavier bands longer, and totals climb to 16 to 18 inches. I am not saying that is the most likely outcome. I am saying it is on the table and you need to be prepared for it. Baltimore, Maryland. Similar situation. 8 to 12 inches expected, heavy wet snow, wind gusts that will be reaching 40 to 50 miles per hour this afternoon and evening. Those winds with that snow load mean tree damage. Trees coming down means power lines coming down. Baltimore has a significant urban tree canopy, and that canopy becomes a liability in a wet, heavy snow event with strong winds. I am flagging Baltimore as one of the highest outage risk cities in this entire storm. Keep that in mind. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This one is interesting. Philadelphia sits right on the knife edge between the heaviest snow and a rain-snow mix transition zone. The current forecast has Philly at 6 to 10 inches, but there is a legitimate scenario where the warm air wins out at lower elevations near the Delaware River and totals drop to 4 to 6 inches in the city, while the western suburbs see 10 to 14. Watch your specific zip code. South Philly may see less than Lansdale. The collar counties to the north and west are going to get hammered regardless. New York City. This is where I need to spend real time because the 5 boroughs present a complex picture. The city itself, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens. Still some uncertainty on the rain-snow line. Current modeling has the metro at 6 to 10 inches, but there is a plausible shift scenario that drops those totals significantly if warm air wraps into the lower atmosphere faster than expected. The boroughs and suburbs north and west of the city, Westchester County, Rockland County, Bergen County in New Jersey, those areas are locked in for 10 to 16 inches. You are not getting out of this one clean, no matter where you are in greater New York. Newark, New Jersey, similar to NYC with a potential rain-snow mixing issue at the surface. Trenton, New Jersey is interesting. Right on that transitional zone, probably 6 to 9 inches. But if you go west to Princeton or north to Morristown, you are looking at 12 to 16 inches easily. Now I am going to do something I want you to pay close attention to. I am going to run through cities rapidly and give you ranges. When you hear your city, write it down. Come back to it. Because I am covering a lot of ground fast and I do not want you to miss it. Starting in the south. Charlotte, North Carolina. You are on that transitional edge, 3 to 6 inches of snow with a dangerous ice glaze underneath of 0.10 to 0.25 inches. Charlotte shuts down with an inch. This is going to be chaos. Greensboro, North Carolina, 4 to 7 inches plus ice accumulation of 0.15 to 0.30 inches. Durham, North Carolina, 3 to 5 inches, ice glaze likely. Raleigh, North Carolina. This one is tricky. Right on the rain-snow line again. 2 to 5 inches possible, but significant icing is the bigger threat. 0.20 to 0.35 inch ice accumulation. If you are in Raleigh and you hear 1/3 of an inch of ice, understand that at that level, you are talking about widespread tree failure, power line failure, and road conditions that are impassable even with four-wheel drive. Moving into Virginia. Richmond, Virginia, 5 to 9 inches of snow. Sleet mixing in mid-event, which will create a crust that makes removal harder. Norfolk, Virginia, primarily a rain and wind event for you. Heavy flooding possible with the storm surge, gusts to 55 miles per hour. Virginia Beach, similar to Norfolk, this is a coastal flooding and wind event more than a snow event. Alexandria, Virginia, 8 to 12 inches, very close to DC totals. Fredericksburg, 7 to 11 inches. Into Maryland. Annapolis, 6 to 10 inches. Bethesda, 9 to 13 inches. Rockville, 9 to 13 inches. Frederick. Maryland, this is one of the spots I am most concerned about. 12 to 16 inches of heavy wet snow with gusts to 45 miles per hour. Frederick has significant tree cover, and the power grid there has been stressed by previous storm events. Hagerstown, Maryland, 10 to 14 inches. Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh. You are not getting the nor'easter in the same way, but you are going to see 4 to 7 inches of your own snow, and then the Arctic reinforcement hits you hard. Altoona, 8 to 12 inches. State College, 10 to 14 inches. Harrisburg, 8 to 12 inches, heavy wet snow, wind gusts to 40 miles per hour. Lancaster, 8 to 11 inches. Reading, 9 to 13 inches. Allentown, 10 to 15 inches. Scranton, 12 to 18 inches. This is where the totals get serious. Scranton sits in an elevation corridor that funnels heavy banding from nor'easters, and that positioning is going to pay off in the worst way today. 18 inches is a real number for Scranton. Wilkes-Barre, same story, 12 to 18 inches. New Jersey, Atlantic City, 5 to 8 inches with significant coastal flooding from storm surge. Cape May, primarily wind and flooding. Cherry Hill, 7 to 10 inches. Hackensack, 10 to 14 inches. Patterson, 11 to 15 inches. New York State. Buffalo. I am coming back to you separately because lake effect is going to be a different animal after this system. Albany, New York, 12 to 18 inches, and this is a high confidence call. Albany is positioned perfectly in the left exit jet streak of this system, which is where you get the most intense snowfall rates. I am talking rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour at peak intensity this evening. Albany could see brief whiteout conditions tonight. Syracuse, 10 to 15 inches from the nor'easter. But you also have the lake effect factor, which I will come back to. Utica, 12 to 16 inches. Binghamton, 12 to 18 inches. Rochester, 8 to 12 inches from the nor'easter, plus the lake effect reload. Poughkeepsie, 12 to 16 inches. White Plains, 12 to 16 inches. Long Island. Nassau County, 8 to 12 inches. Suffolk County, 8 to 14 inches with significant coastal flooding along the South Shore. Connecticut, Bridgeport, 10 to 15 inches. New Haven, 10 to 16 inches. Hartford, 12 to 18 inches. Hartford is another city on my high concern list. Springfield, Massachusetts, 12 to 18 inches. Worcester, Massachusetts, and Worcester always gets the worst of nor'easters because of its elevation and position relative to the storm track, 16 to 24 inches. Worcester could see 2 feet of snow. That is not a typo. That is not me being reckless with numbers. Worcester regularly overperforms on nor'easters, and the setup today is textbook for a Worcester overperformance event. Boston, Massachusetts, 12 to 18 inches, coastal flooding concerns along the waterfront, gusts to 55 to 65 miles per hour in the harbor area, wind chills dropping to -15 to -25 degrees Fahrenheit by late tonight, and into tomorrow morning as the cold air crashes in behind the storm. Providence, Rhode Island, 12 to 16 inches. Portland, Maine, 10 to 16 inches. Bangor, Maine, 8 to 14 inches. Burlington, Vermont, 10 to 16 inches. Now I want to stop for a moment and talk about something that I said in the opening. I told you this was not the worst part of what is coming, and I meant that. Because phase 2 of this event is where things get more dangerous for different reasons, and there are people who are going to watch this storm end and think they survived it, and then phase 2 is going to hit them before they have time to recover. Here is what happens. The bomb cyclone tracks out to sea, probably northeast of Cape Cod by early Sunday morning. The storm is gone. The snow stops. People are going to go outside. They're going to start shoveling. They're going to think the worst is over. And then the Arctic air mass that has been sitting in Canada, waiting, absolutely dominant, cold, dense, relentless, that air mass is going to pour in right behind the departing storm. And the temperatures are going to collapse. I am not using that word loosely. Collapse. As in some locations, temperatures will drop 30 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit within a 6-hour window. Let me give you specific numbers. Boston, Massachusetts, temperature right now is around 28 degrees. By Saturday night, when the storm is clearing, it drops to 10 degrees. By Sunday morning, 2 degrees above zero. Wind chills. Sunday morning in Boston will be minus 18 to minus 25 degrees Fahrenheit. That is life-threatening cold. That is frostbite in 15 to 20 minutes on exposed skin. That is hypothermia territory if you are wet from shoveling and you underestimate how fast the cold is moving in. Albany, New York, temperature will fall from near 26 degrees during the storm to minus 5 degrees actual temperature by Sunday morning. Wind chill, minus 25 to minus 32 degrees. This is the kind of cold that kills pipes. And remember, Albany may have 12 to 18 inches of snow on the ground. The roads are not going to be clear. If your power goes out in Albany Sunday morning and your temperature is minus 5, you have a very short window before pipes freeze and before your home becomes dangerously cold. Scranton, Pennsylvania, dropping from the mid-20s during the storm to around 8 degrees by Sunday morning. Wind chills minus 15 to minus 22. Washington, D.C., dropping from the mid-30s during the storm to 14 degrees by Sunday morning. Wind chills 0 to minus 10. For D.C., those numbers are extraordinary. Those are not D.C. winter numbers. Those are Chicago numbers showing up in the nation's capital. Charlotte, North Carolina. Temperatures will be near freezing during the storm. Drops to 12 to 16 degrees by Sunday morning. Wind chills minus 5 to minus 12. For Charlotte, this is a rare and dangerous setup. The ice that forms during the storm will not melt. It will sit under temperatures of 12 degrees for 24 to 36 hours. Roads will not be passable. And Charlotte does not have the sand and salt resources that northern cities maintain because they simply do not need them in most winters. Let me talk about the models for a moment because I think it is important for you to understand why there is still uncertainty in this forecast, even as the storm is happening right now. The GFS, the Global Forecast System, which is our American model, has been running slightly progressive with this storm. That means it wants to move the storm a little faster, which would tighten the snowfall window and potentially shift the heaviest totals slightly northeast. If the GFS solution is correct, New York City and Long Island see higher totals than current forecasts suggest, and southern areas like DC see the storm exit a little earlier. The European model, the ECMWF, has been more conservative with the movement. It wants to park this storm just off the coast a little longer, which would backbuild the heaviest precipitation into central Pennsylvania and keep the snow going over DC for an extra 6 to 8 hours. If the European solution is correct, DC total jumps, central Pennsylvania gets buried, and the exit timing is delayed by roughly half a day. The national blend of models, which is exactly what it sounds like, a weighted blend of every major model output, has been splitting the difference, and the HRRR, which is only good out about 18 hours but is extraordinarily accurate within that window, is now strongly suggesting that the European solution is closer to reality for the next 12 hours. What does this mean for you practically? If you are in DC's, Maryland, Pennsylvania, do not assume this storm exits on the early schedule. Plan for the later exit. Plan for totals at the higher end of the forecast range. Be wrong on the side of caution, because if the European model is right and you planned for the American model, you are going to get caught. Here's the other thing the models just picked up, and this is something I want you to understand because it is going to affect the back end of this event in ways that are not getting enough coverage. The secondary area of low pressure that was developing along the trailing frontal boundary off the mid-Atlantic coast. That secondary low is now showing signs of strengthening more than initially expected. The overnight model runs, specifically the 00Z HRRR and the 00Z European, both picked up on enhanced cyclogenesis in that secondary system. What that means is that as the primary bomb cyclone exits to the northeast, this secondary low may provide an additional band of heavy snow that wraps back over southern New England Sunday afternoon. It is not a certainty. I want to be very clear about that. But it is a possibility that I am watching closely, and I will be updating this in a community tab post as soon as the next HRRR run completes. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications on so you see that post when it goes up. Now let me talk about Phase 3. This is the part that extends beyond this immediate event, and this is the part that I think is most underappreciated by the general public right now. The Arctic air mass that crashes in behind this storm is not a one-day event. It is not even a two-day event. The ridge that is building over Western Canada, the blocking pattern that is setting up over Greenland, this is a textbook negative Arctic oscillation setup. And when you have a strongly negative Arctic oscillation, cold air does not just come down for a day and bounce back. It lingers. It pools. It finds every valley and basin and low point and sits there. Here is what the extended models are showing for the week of February 23rd through March 1st. Temperatures from the Ohio Valley through the Northeast are running 15 to 25 degrees below normal. Not below average, below normal. That is a significant departure. For cities like Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Detroit, Cincinnati, these temperatures would be historic for late February, even in a cold year. For cities like Charlotte, Nashville, Atlanta, and, yes, Atlanta, stay with me. These temperatures represent a multi-decade record event. Atlanta, Georgia. I know some of you are watching this from Atlanta right now, and you are thinking this is a northeastern storm story. I need you to pay attention to what happens after the storm. The current 500 millibar pattern, the large-scale atmospheric flow, is going to direct Arctic air into the deep south in a way that Atlanta has not seen since the winter of 2021. Temperatures in Atlanta could drop to the single digits above zero by next week. Pipes in the Atlanta metro area were not built for single-digit temperatures. Many Atlanta homes have minimal insulation by northern standards. I am telling you right now, if you are in Atlanta, Nashville, Birmingham, Columbia, South Carolina, you need to be preparing for an extended cold event that goes well beyond what you are used to. Nashville, Tennessee. Temperatures dropping to near zero by midweek next week. Wind chills possible -15 to -20. Nashville's infrastructure is vulnerable. We saw what happened in 2021. This has some of those same signatures. Birmingham, Alabama. Temperatures falling to single digits by Wednesday. This is extraordinary for Birmingham. Extraordinary. Knoxville, Tennessee. Similar to Nashville, single-digit temperatures likely midweek. Memphis, Tennessee, dropping to around 5 to 10 degrees, well below normal, with wind chills -10 to -15. Let me now get into the lake effect component of this event because it deserves its own treatment, and the Buffalo and western New York area especially needs to hear this. As the bomb cyclone exits to the northeast and the Arctic air charges south, we are going to have classic cold air over relatively warmer Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. The temperature differential between the lake surface temperature and the incoming Arctic air is going to be significant. We are talking about lake surface temperatures in the upper 30s, meeting air temperatures that could be in the single digits or below zero at 850 millibars. That differential fuels lake effect snow bands, and these bands are going to be intense. Buffalo, New York. You know this story better than almost any city in America. But what is coming is still significant. The lake effect snow machine is going to spin up probably Saturday evening and could run through Monday. Totals in the traditional South towns, Orchard Park, Hamburg, East Aurora, Cheektowaga, could reach 18 to 30 inches from the lake effect alone on top of whatever you got from the nor'easter. Let me say that again. 18 to 30 additional inches from lake effect. This is a multi-foot snow event for portions of western New York. This is not unusual for Buffalo in the context of its worst events, but it is extreme even by their standards. And combined with temperatures dropping to -5 to -10 degrees actual temperature, blowing and drifting snow will make travel impossible. Watertown, New York, downwind of Lake Ontario, you are looking at 20 to 30 additional inches of lake effect snow. This is one of the snowiest cities in America in a normal winter, and this setup is going to remind people of that. Syracuse is going to get the Ontario connection as well. 16 to 24 additional inches of lake effect on top of the nor'easter totals is not out of the question. Cleveland, Ohio, not as extreme, but lake effect off Erie is going to stack additional snow on an already cold and stressed infrastructure. 8 to 14 additional inches possible through Monday in the traditional snow belt southeast of Cleveland, Chardon, Painesville, Madison. Now I need to talk about danger tiers. I told you at the beginning I was going to give you this breakdown, and here it is. Tier 1, highest danger. Extended cold, ice, and significant multi-day power outage risk. If you are in this tier, the danger is not just from the storm itself, it is from what comes after. It is the cold that settles in after the storm when you may not have power, when your roads are not passable, when help may be slow to arrive. Tier 1 cities in this event: Worcester, Massachusetts; Albany, New York; Scranton, Pennsylvania; Binghamton, New York; Allentown, Pennsylvania; Watertown, New York; Buffalo, New York; Hartford, Connecticut; the Appalachian Spine communities from southwestern Virginia through West Virginia; Bluefield, Lewisburg, Elkins, Morgantown; Frederick, Maryland. These communities are going to see the combination of heavy snow or ice followed immediately by life-threatening cold, and the power grid in several of these areas has already been under stress. Tier 2, infrastructure stress, heavy snow, wind damage, significant outage potential, but in more urban areas with more resources: Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Newark, Boston, Providence, Harrisburg. Tier 2 is not safe. People lose power and even get hurt in Tier 2 events. But the difference is that these urban areas have more pre-positioned resources, more utility crews, more emergency services infrastructure that can respond faster. Tier 3, southern cities not accustomed to this kind of weather: Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro, Nashville, Knoxville, Memphis, Atlanta, Birmingham. These cities face a different kind of danger. The danger is not the most extreme totals, although some of these cities will see significant ice accumulation. The danger is infrastructure and behavioral. These are cities where a quarter inch of ice closes everything, where salt and sand supplies are limited, where the population is not experienced in winter weather driving, and where the extended cold that follows the storm is going to hit pipes, water systems, and homes that were never designed to handle it. If you are in a Tier 3 city, Do not underestimate this event because the totals look smaller than what is happening up north. The impact on your daily life may be equally severe. Let me now talk about preparation, because none of this forecast matters if you do not act on it. Water. Right now, before anything else happens, fill your bathtubs. Fill every large pot you have. Fill every gallon jug you own. Here is why this matters even if you think your water will stay on. Frozen pipes are a real risk in extended cold. And pipe breaks strain municipal water systems in entire metro areas. After major winter storms in cities like Atlanta and Nashville, we have seen boil water advisories that lasted days. Even if your home's pipes do not burst, your neighbors might, and the strain on the system affects everyone. Have water stored. Generators. If you have a generator, test it today. Run it for 15 minutes and make sure it starts. Make sure you have enough fuel. And I cannot stress this enough. Carbon monoxide kills more people in power outage situations than almost anything else. Do not run a generator inside your home. Do not run it in your garage, even with the door open. Do not run it in an attached shed. It must be outside, away from windows and doors, 20 feet minimum. Every year in events like this, people die from carbon monoxide poisoning because they made a decision that seemed logical in the moment. Run the generator outside, period. Pipes. If you are in an at-risk zone, especially Tier 3 cities in the South, open your cabinet doors under sinks to let warmer house air reach the pipes. Allow a slow drip from your faucets on exterior walls. If you have exposed pipes in unheated crawl spaces, consider letting a heat lamp run if you have one safely positioned, or wrap pipes in foam insulation if you have not already. Know where your main water shutoff valve is. If a pipe bursts, you need to be able to shut the water off immediately, and you do not want to be searching for that valve at 2 a.m. in a frozen house. Vehicle kit. I know most of you have heard this before. But I am going to say it again because people die in winter storm conditions in their vehicles every single year. Keep a blanket in your car, keep a small bag with water, a granola bar or two, a flashlight, and gloves. Keep your gas tank at least half full throughout this event. Fuel lines can freeze and gas stations run out during storm events. A small bag of sand or cat litter for traction if you get stuck. A small shovel. These are not expensive items. They are potentially life-saving items if you end up stranded on a road that has not been plowed. Power outage survival. If your power goes out during this event, the most important thing you can do is manage heat retention in your home. Close off rooms you are not using. Gather in one room with the family. Body heat is surprisingly effective. Have blankets. Have sleeping bags if you own them. Do not go to bed in an unheated home without layering appropriately. Temperatures in a home with no heat will drop toward outdoor temperatures over a period of 12 to 24 hours, depending on insulation. In a home that reaches 30 degrees, hypothermia risk is real, especially for the elderly, infants, and people with certain medical conditions. Check on your neighbors. This one is simple, and I want you to take it seriously. Elderly neighbors living alone, neighbors with disabilities, neighbors who may not be watching this video and do not know what is coming. Knock on the door today. Make sure they are stocked on medications. Make sure they have food. Make sure they know how to reach you if they need help. Community resilience in winter storm events saves lives in a way that no amount of government infrastructure can replicate. Be a neighbor. Now I want to address something, because we have hit the halfway point of this forecast, and if you have stayed with me this long, you deserve the full picture. I told you at the beginning that something worse was coming, and I have been building toward this. And I want to be precise with you about what I mean. The storm itself, the bomb cyclone, Phase 1 and Phase 2, is severe. The totals are significant. The wind is dangerous. The coastal flooding is real. But the pattern that produced this storm is not going away. The atmospheric blocking that is allowing Arctic air to surge this far south is locked in. The models have been remarkably consistent over the past 72 hours in showing that this cold pattern does not break down in the 7 to 10 day period. And some of the long-range guidance, the extended GFS ensemble runs, the European extended range, they are suggesting that another storm system may develop along the same general track between day 8 and day 12. Let me be very specific about what that means and what it does not mean. It does not mean we are definitely getting another major nor'easter next week. Pattern recognition at 10 to 12 days is not deterministic. You cannot take that to the bank. But what I can tell you is that the large-scale pattern, the negative Arctic oscillation, the blocking high over Greenland, the trough digging into the eastern half of the country, that pattern is the same type of pattern that produced multiple storms in succession in winters like 2015 and 2010 and 1996. These patterns have a tendency to repeat. They load the spring and then they fire. And we may be looking at a loaded spring right now. What I need you to watch for in the next 48 to 72 hours after this immediate storm clears is the behavior of that next energy packet moving across the Pacific. If it maintains its strength crossing the Rocky Mountains and drops into the southern plains with sufficient cold air in place, which we will have in abundance given what we just talked about, you could see another round of wintry weather affecting the same regions early in the first week of March. I am going to be covering this in real time. I am going to be doing a full long-range outlook video in approximately 48 hours when we have the post-storm model data and can start building the case for what comes next. If you want to be part of that, you need to be subscribed. You need to have notifications turned on, because I am not going to have time to wait for you to find the video organically. When these pattern updates happen, they happen fast, and the people who have the information first are the people who make smart decisions first. Let me give you the full timeline one more time because I want this to be crisp in your mind before I let you go. Right now, Saturday, February 22nd through approximately 6 p.m. Eastern, Phase 1 is in full effect. Heavy snow from the central Appalachians through the mid-Atlantic. Rain-snow line transition creating mixed precipitation along I-95 from Philadelphia south. Coastal flooding ongoing from Virginia Beach to Long Island. Wind gusts 45 to 65 miles per hour along the immediate coast. Saturday evening, 6 p.m. through midnight. The heaviest precipitation band lifts into southern New England. This is the peak event for New York City Metro, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and eastern Massachusetts. Highest snowfall rates of the entire event, potentially 2 to 3 inches per hour in the heaviest bands. Whiteout conditions possible in the Albany to Worcester corridor. Do not be on the roads. Saturday night into Sunday morning. The storm begins to exit to the northeast. Precipitation ends from southwest to northeast, but this is when the Arctic air starts to flood in aggressively. Temperatures begin their dramatic collapse, wind chills dropping rapidly. By Sunday sunrise, most of the region is well below zero in wind chill terms. Sunday, February 23rd, through Monday, the coldest stretch. Actual temperatures in single digits to below zero across interior New England and upstate New York. Wind chills minus 20 to minus 35 in the most exposed areas. Lake effect snow cranks up for western New York and the Lake Ontario snow belt. Travel remains extremely dangerous not because of active snowfall, but because of blowing snow, ice, and life-threatening temperatures for anyone who ends up stranded. Tuesday through the remainder of the week, slow moderation begins for the core northeast, but the cold air reestablishes across the deep south. This is when the Tier 3 cities, Nashville, Atlanta, Birmingham, see their most extreme temperatures. The national picture remains unsettled. Before I close, I want to mention a few more cities that I want to make sure are on your radar. Cincinnati, Ohio, looking at 4 to 8 inches of snow from systems feeding into the Ohio Valley on the backside of the main event. Then temperatures crashing to near zero by Monday. Columbus, Ohio, similar, 4 to 7 inches, extreme cold, Tuesday through Thursday. Indianapolis, Indiana, 3 to 6 inches, wind chills -15 to -22 early next week. Chicago, Illinois, not directly hit by the nor'easter, but fully exposed to the Arctic air, temperatures dropping to -5 to -10 actual, wind chills -25 to -35. This is genuine dangerous cold for Chicago, even by Chicago's standards. Detroit, Michigan, Arctic air plus potential lake effect. Temperatures near -5 to -10, wind chills -20 to -30. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, even colder, temperatures possibly -15, wind chills approaching -35. These are the outer edges of the cold dome, and the Midwest is not immune to this pattern. Down the eastern side of the Appalachians in Virginia, Staunton, Waynesboro, significant ice accumulation, 0.25 to 0.40 inches. Martinsburg, West Virginia, 0.25 to 0.35 inches of ice. Ice is the silent killer in these events because it does not need to be deep to cause total devastation. A 1/4 inch of ice brings down trees and power lines. 1/3 of an inch makes road travel impossible for even the most experienced driver. A 1/2 inch creates a public health emergency. These numbers deserve as much respect as the foot-plus snowfall totals further north. I want to close with something I think about every time I sit down to do one of these major forecasts. Weather is the great equalizer. It does not care about your schedule. It does not care about your commute. It does not care about your plans for the weekend or the meeting you have Monday morning. It does not care whether you watch this video or not. The atmosphere is going to do what it is going to do. And a 24 millibar pressure drop in 24 hours producing a bomb cyclone, followed by the deepest Arctic air outbreak of this winter season, followed by a potentially reloading pattern. This is a rare setup. This is not normal February weather. This is the kind of event that gets talked about for years in the affected regions. The only question is whether you made smart decisions before it arrived. I have given you the numbers. I've given you the timing. I have given you the danger tiers. I have given you the preparation steps. The rest is up to you. Stay safe. Take this seriously. Check on your people. And when you do survive this, when you are on the other side of it looking back, remember what you did right so that you can do it again next time. Because with this pattern in place, there may be a next time sooner than you think. If this forecast helped you at all, if it gave you information that helped you make a better decision, that helped you protect your family, that helped you understand what was coming, hit that like button right now. I mean right now, while it is in your head. Because the algorithm is the only thing that determines whether the people who need this information actually find it. When you like this video, you are not doing it for me. You are doing it for the person in Charlotte or Nashville or Albany who has no idea this is coming and needs to see it before it is too late. Subscribe if you have not already. I cover every major weather event that affects this country, and I do it with the same level of detail and the same commitment to giving you real numbers, real timing, and real preparation guidance that I gave you today. Hit that notification bell, set it to all notifications, because when I drop the follow-up video in the next 48 hours covering the long-range pattern and the potential reload scenario, you need to see it while it still matters. The Community tab is where I post real-time model updates between videos. As soon as the next HRRR run completes, and I have clarity on that secondary low development, that update goes to the Community tab first. You need to be subscribed to see it. Stay warm, stay safe. I will see you in the next one.